But the real reason we're doing this, right, is for the final team that is currently in action. It's Inter Miami, and the question that's on everybody's mind, can they actually do this? The goal against Orlando doesn't help because they are now down to 14th again with 32 points. They've got 6 games left because of their Leagues Cup run, which is probably why the Charlotte game got moved. Oh, yeah, it is. That's why the Charlotte game got moved. Leagues Cup final. Um,
U.S. Open Cup final.
and US, well, both, because the Leagues Cup final, that first game was supposed to be Charlotte, and it got pushed back. And the first game that Messi played in MLS was Red Bull. So that's why the Charlotte game is what it is.
Oh, okay.
However, yes, the Open Cup final as well. Um, so their last 6 games of the season is one's going on right now at Orlando. You've got versus New York City at home, away to Chicago, home versus FCC, home versus Charlotte, and away to Charlotte. It is a it's a big congested run into the playoffs, which at the very least Lionel Messi is missing one, if not maybe two, um, depending on that injury that he picked up late in or early in the game midweek. I think the top teams, Orlando, FCC, know how to play them, have the talent to play them, and will get results. So the way I see this going is away to Orlando is a loss. So I think Orlando wins the game that we're watching right now. New York City at home is a dub. Chicago away is a dub. FCC at home is a loss. And then Charlotte home and away are both wins. I have them finishing with 12 points and 43 total, I believe is what my math comes out to.
We're pretty similar in terms of points. I think we should have different results. Based on the predictions that we put out earlier today, I've got Orlando, Miami as a draw, which it currently is at the moment. I think it'll stay this way. Uh, and then I think, honestly, I think the rest of the games are, I mean, we already talked about how has quickly become one of the best teams in the entire league. But they also are playing like very beatable opponents in their last games outside of FCC. I mean, these are games that I think they can win, even if they didn't have Messi. But tack on Messi as well, I think it's going to be really hard to stop them from getting into the playoffs, especially with how many games they still have in hand. I mean, they have 3 games in hand on some teams. I see NYC. I see them beating NYC as I mentioned before. I think they win at Chicago. I think they beat FCC at home, especially, and I think that at that point would knock FCC out of the points record. So then I think FCC could probably coast through the rest of the season. And then, as I mentioned before, with Charlotte, I think they win the first game against Charlotte, which, based on the way I had everything mapped out, would lock them into that 8 seed spot where they wouldn't be able to drop down and they wouldn't be able to move up. So then I think they rest a bunch of guys. And at Charlotte on the last day, I think they get a draw. So I've got them finishing off 45 points and earning 14 from their last 6.
That's awful. I don't want that to happen. I don't even want my results to happen.
But they're going to happen. And I think you know that,
Stop. Leave me
which is
alone.
why you predicted it.
Um,
It's not awful. I mean, they bolstered their team. They brought in a coach that knows how to win in the league. I mean, they did a good job.
yeah, but I don't need to keep going on Twitter and reading the MLS is rigged. I'm so smart and I know that MLS is doing this just to get Messi more games. Like I'm so tired of reading it. Just knock him out already.
I don't care. Give Messi more games. You're not going to be able to see him forever.
That's
The
fair.
GOAT is playing in our league. Let's take every single minute we can get from him.
So, yeah, all right, fair.